And now we're up to Daf Samach Aleph Amid Beis. We have a brisa that says Tochanim. In other words, if you were mafresh trumas and maisus from tvua, and now you want to grind the tvua and make flour, mafkidin etzel ochle shvius. You're allowed to be mafkid that tvua that is no longer tevel in the hands of someone who's quote unquote ochle shvius. He eats shvius be'isu. The etzel ochle perusei betuma. Now, we would have thought that maybe we should be choshesh that he'll do a hachlofa. And yachlifu is peros shefkidu etzlam beperos shvius, so beperos tmeim. And now the brisa is being mechadish that we're not choshesh v'achlofa. He's not going to deliberately switch the peros and replace the peros that were deposited in his hands with peros shvius, so peros tmeim. Avalolo ochle shvius, v'lolo ochle perosei betum. We will not allow being tochen on behalf of the ochle shvius be'isur, and likewise we will not allow tchina to grind the tvua of ochle perosei betuma. So it seems from this brisa that we're not allowed to be misayeh someone who eats peros chulin betuma, and that's against Rava. Abaye answers Hasam there in the brisa, which says that you're not allowed to be misayeh with chinas peros of ochlin betuma bekohen. It's not a Yisrael, but rather a Kohen. Hechoshed lechol truma betuma askinon. And this is a violation of an Isur D'Oraisa to eat truma betuma, but right, it needs sreifa. But nevertheless, the Kohen is in violation of that Isur, the Havile Tuma D'Oraisa. So we suspect the Kohen of eating truma tmeya, which is asura min Torah, based on the pasuk that says v'achar yochal min hakodesh. So for sure we can't be Misayele. They were only matir to be Misayeh over Avera because of Darkei Shalom, and in Avera that's Midrabana, but not in Avera that's Asur min Torah. Our Mishnah is talking about a case of Misayato, Litchon Peros Chulin, She'enam Asur b'Achila min Torah, v'lachen itiru mipnei Darkei Shalom. If the Bryce is talking about a Kohen and he's chashud, and you're not allowed to help him, therefore, in tchina of his truma, so that means that even the race of the Brysa that allows you to be mafkid to deposit the truma in the hands of a Kohen who's chashud, is now the Gemara asks, how is it possible, mafkidin, that we're allowed to bring our fruits to this over Avera, Uraminu, I have a stira to that. Mafkidin Shumei Tel Yisrael Amoretz, V'lo Tel Kohen Amoretz. So Yisrael, who never touches Truma, we're not afraid that he'll be Matami the Truma. But in the case of a Kohen who constantly eats truma, that's called libo gaspa, he's rogil b'truma, then he might touch it and be metamid. And therefore, how can you tell me that the din of the first brisa, that mafkidin peros eitzel ochlim perosei betuma, is talking about a Kohen? Because it says here, mafkidin truma eitzel Yisrael, Amor. So we're talking about pears that are inside a pottery kli, which is covered on top with a samid pasil. It means that he cannot touch the inside of the kli to be metamin. And that he's not able to do because it's already mukaf ksomit pasil. So any yachol lagas b'toch hakli l'tamin. Affecting more of a lechus shema tisitenu ishton nida. We have what's called tumas hesed, which is when you carry something, and maybe his wife is in nida, and she's an Eishes Amoritz, and she'll start moving Kli Cheres, and that movement of Kli Cheres, if she carries it, is called Tumas Hesed, even though she doesn't have any direct contact. So therefore, there should be a chashash of Shemen Nitmu HaPeiros. So Gemara therefore has to retract this whole explanation about Kli Cheres Hamukav Tzomid Pasul. But rather, Ela Omer Rab Yirmiyah Lo Kasha Kan B'Peiros Shehuchshu V'Kan B'Peiros Shelo Huchshu. So Rab Yirmiyah wants to reconcile the apparent contradiction in the brises. That one brisa that says you're not allowed to deposit truma in the hands of a kohen amoritz, that's Peiros Shehuchshu. In other words, the Peiros of truma came in contact with one of the 7 machshirim, and therefore it could be makabel tumah with choshesh, maybe yitmu, might be metamin. But kan in the brisa that allows it, that's talking about Peiros Shelo Huchshu. There was never hechshel makabel tumah, and therefore even if he touches, he would not be able to be metamin. Uraminu, the Gemara says, I have a steer from a brisa. It means that there's a chazaka that these are the peros, and we're not afraid that maybe the kusio damaret switched the peros that were already subject to masa, that's called misukanim, as opposed to peros she'ena misukanim. Avololituma. There's no cheskes tara anymore. The cheskes tara is gone. You have to be choshesh that maybe the amaoretz was nogea and metamin. Anyway, we see clearly from this brisa that we're choshesh for negia b'peros, that he was nogea b'peros and he was metami b'peros. How could the brisa that we quoted earlier say that you're allowed to be mafkid in the hands of chashudim on peros shvius? Al peros shvius veitzal amoritz. Well, says, what kind of kash is that? Haiman Rumya. Who would ask such a stira? Lavu kimnim peros shelo huchshu. We already said that the brisa that's matil lahafkid to deposit, that's talking about peros that did not come in contact with the 7 machshirim. So Gemara says with the korele, my the korele. We learn from this how important of a kasha is. We have to analyze the mindset of the maksha. And the Gemara explains that the makshon is not coming to ask a kasha from this price on the other price, but rather mishum the kaboy lemirme achriti alei. He wants to ask a kasha on the price from a different price. So we maintain the chazaka that masros were taken off, and that these are not peros shviyus, and we're not choshish that they'll swap them. So the Gemara says, "V'lachalufe lo chashina." Are we not choshish that he may have switched the peros? Uramini. We have a brisa that says a chaver is believed on masros hanosein iso lechamoso. So he gives the dough to his mother-in-law to bake it and prepare it, and she's an Eishes Amoritz. Is Maser S Shu no same law. He should take off Trumas Hamas before he gives it to her. The S Shu no telemena. The Neshachashuda Machlefes Hamiskalkel. So we have a suspicion that the mother-in-law switches it, takes this Isa, and substitutes another Isa. And the second Isa is more beautiful, aesthetically. And therefore, whatever he gives, they should be massive first, so that if in an event that she'll do a khalifa, he will not be nichshal in having caused someone to eat that which is not so kosher. It's not mu'usa. And he's massive whatever he gets from her, because maybe she switched the Isa and gave it Isa Mishalah, and it's not Museris, there was no massive. Anyway, we see clearly from the Brisa with Choshlach Lofa. So how can we matter a chaver to be mafkid Eitzel Chashudim? And Gemerentzes Hosam Kidikarin Tamer of Yehuda Rotzani B'Takonis Pita Ubosha Mechasna. That the mother-in-law is very interested in the well-being of her daughter. And this is called Rotzehi B'Takonis Bita. In other words, if let's say she feels that this bread is going to be inferior quality, she's going to definitely want to switch it and upgrade it to a higher quality. Not because she means evil, but only because she wants to give her daughter, a son-in-law, the best. But in general, as far as the Alma is concerned, other people, they would not be machlifit for their own benefit. Say for the benefit of the owner of the parent. They're not choshed to be machlif peros. We have a Mishnah regarding a Talmud or Yoshev Lilmod Eitzel Rabo, and his Rebbe is also his host, and he's living in the house just one second. Again, it's a Talmud who's sitting at the feet of his Rebbe. Oh, right. And where does he live? Where's his dormitories, or he gets an Airbnb? That's at a host who's an Amoritz. So I know saying lefundak is if a person gives his Isa, he's renting a room, he doesn't have an oven, so he gives the Isa over to the Balas Aksanya and asks her to bake it for her. Is Maser es shunosin la the es shunotel shemachlefes. That he has to be concerned that the Balas Safundakis switch the Isa. And therefore, if she gives him a baked bread, he has to be massive. When it says Hassam, there too, there's a certain desire to give fresh bread. Why? Moria, which means she's morehetet herself, that it's a mitzvah to switch it to upgrade the bread. The Amra bar beirav lechol chamima v'anoa echol krira. Let this Talmud, who's sitting at the feet of his Rebbe, eat hot food straight out of the oven. I'm going to eat macholim karim. I'm going to eat things that are cold. So if she sees that the peros are miscalculating after 2-3 days, then she's going to switch it with others so that the peros should not be mikulkolim, like disintegrated or mushy or whatever you call it. And she thinks she's doing a mitzvah. But these are the only 2 cases where we're choshesh tachlofa. Affecting more vakati liamalo chayshim, we're not choshesh lachlofa. Vasanya, we have a price that says Eishes Chaver, Tochenes im Eishes Amaoretz. That means the Eishes Chaver, who's reliable on Masechet, is helping with Tchina and Eishes Amaoretz. Is Bizman Shehi Tmeya, only when the Eishes Chaver is Tmeya, because if she's in a state of Tumah, then she's not going to come to touch taros, and therefore not choshesh. Maybe she'll taste from that which she was tochenes, and it was a meusar. No, she's not going to go near it because she's tmeya. Avolo b'zman she tahora, but not if she's in a state of tara, because she might forget, and she'll eat from these macholim that she's working with. And they're not mu'usarim, they're tevel. Of Shimon Elazar Omer, af bizman shehi tmeya, he's machmir that even if the Eishes Chaver is tmeya, lo titchon, she should not participate in the actual tchina together with an Eishes Amaretz, v'nei shechaverta, here on Samach Beis, no senis lovo cheles. So the Gemara asks the following kasha: Hashta mignav gonva, chilufe lo mechalva, lo michlufa. If an Eishes Amaretz is chashuda to steal from the Baal, which means that the Baal is makbid, and then she b'cholsos gives it to a friend, then isn't she chashuda lahachlif? I mean, gzela gneva is more chomer than lahachlif. And the Gemara answers, Amar of Yosef, Hasam, Moria, the Amra. Even in this case where it's Momen Baila and she's Chashuda Olav, that's because she has a Horas Heter. She justifies it to herself by claiming Torah Midishe Ka'achim. Right? The Torah prohibits Lo Sachso Sham B'Disho, and therefore you're allowed to feed the cow or the ox from anything that's around. But we're not going to derive from this conclusions to be choshesh in other cases of a nifkad that the mafkid, because he's an amoretz, will be machlif perosa bachir. Okay, then, so this is where we want to stop for today on the top of Samach Beis. And if Hashem, we'll continue tomorrow. Have a great day.